Welcome. My name is Joseph Giacomin, and today I'd like to discuss a proposal, a research proposal that I'd like to make, which is called Naturalness of Interaction. My short CV, my background, started originally in engineering, moved on to design, but the focus has always been that of people and ergonomics and mostly human-centered design. My research track record, I have about 140, 150, I lose track, publications, about 4 books. Most recently, the focus of many of the papers and books has been on autonomous and semi-autonomous systems, because we're now entering an age where we're designing artifacts which have some agency. They do some thinking for us, they do some deciding for us. As designers, we've never had the challenge of designing systems and products and services which can seem more like people than they do like machines. These new situations are bringing some very important challenges. The area of human-centered design is the approach which is best suited to look at these challenges raised by artificial intelligence and automation. Human-centered design, a lot of information, a lot of focus on issues of ergonomics and human factors, the science of people, human capabilities in terms of perception, in terms of cognition, physical and other. A lot of information used in human-centered design is of a user interaction UX or human-robot interaction HRI nature. A lot of product semantics, a lot of semiotics, and these days the key focus with many businesses and many governmental agencies and NGOs is actually meaning. In a world rich in products, systems, and services, the defining characteristic quite often these days is what it actually means to the people to interact and use that particular artifact, rather than the artifact being particularly efficient or particularly pleasant in nature. So what's the Naturalness of Interaction project about? It's a response to this challenge that we have. What is natural in terms of interacting with a semi-automated, an automated, or an artificial intelligence system? As designers, we've designed many passive or semi-active mechanical electronic systems in the past. There's lots of good design criteria for these types of systems, but what's the criteria? How do we ensure something's intuitive? How do we ensure it's frictionless? How do we, above all, guarantee a level of naturalness to the interaction between a person and the car, a person and some system in their home, a person in some system in a medical setting? How do we ensure this naturalness? We need criteria, we need frameworks, we need a methodology to guarantee, to check things, to achieve a minimum level of naturalness of these new things we're designing. That's what the project is about. So what's the value for a business or for a governmental agency or NGO? It's having a set of criteria, establishing a framework, beginning to render a bit more systematic the design right from the initial concept stage, the design of our product, system, or service in terms of intuitiveness. We know what's intuitive with a mechanical switch. We know what's intuitive in terms of a simple computer display screen. We don't know for sure what's exactly intuitive in terms of language usage, tone, behaviors, movements, and so forth with a robot or an automated system with a certain degree of complexity. The project's about defining some basic criteria of this type. The research activities naturally to face this problem and come to some conclusions. There's a natural flow to the work, starting with a literature review of some of the gaps in the current understanding, passing to ethnography, passing through some systematic scientific type tests with people, and eventually drawing some conclusions by collecting, collating, coding thematically, clustering the data that we've gathered. So there's a need to try to identify the key drivers of the naturalness construct of this thing we call naturalness and apply it in a practical manner to the things we're designing. There's also a management plan which flows naturally from the sequence of activities that must be performed to ensure that we've talked to enough people, we've interacted with enough people, we've been careful enough in extracting the information and summarizing it to put into place some key criteria we can use in our designs. There's a natural management plan which emerges from that. There's also a natural set of 3 or 6 month deliverables as we progress and achieve and gather data and summarize it. There's a natural way of reporting that and disseminating that in steps as we move through the project. And finally, there's a natural cost structure if we're based in a United Kingdom university and subject to all the local costs and regulations. There's a set of costs associated with performing the activity. So thank you very much. I hope, thank you for your time and patience with this short presentation. I hope that the topic of naturalness, intuitiveness of interaction with automated systems particularly is of interest to you. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of data to be gathered. There's a lot of criteria to be drawn such that we can have a framework, but we need this framework in order to start already from the concept phase of design, setting some targets for what these systems should be capable of doing, such that people find them pleasant, they find them useful, they find them efficient, but they also find them intuitive and natural. Thank you very much.